megalithic doggies. And today we visit the Ibbankatuwa megalithic site in roughly the central area of the beautiful nation of Sri Lanka. As far as I know, this is the only megalithic site of its kind in the country of Sri Lanka. That's not to say that there aren't others out there waiting to be discovered, but this is the only one that seems to have an identity of its own that extends prior to the arrival of Buddhism. The site itself is very well and tastefully laid out for the visitor. Again, because there's no religious overtones, it's purely presented as a historic artifact of a proto-historic nature, as they call it. Made up of stone schist chambers, they are very important archaeological evidence for the study of the period. And there's over 100 such burial sites have been discovered in Sri Lanka, but none, as far as I'm aware, have been discovered as clustered as these ones. At the Ibbankatuwa proto-historic megalithic site, located on the left bank of the Dambula Oya, a tributary of the Kala Oyain River, extends over a large area of 13 hectares, comprising of stone schist type burial graves commonly seen all over Europe. The first excavation took place in the 1970s, although it wasn't until the late 1980s and the early 1990s that a German archaeological team did a complex excavation and laid out and opened up the site that we see today. Carbon dating done on the charcoal of the site determined it to be 600 AD, but this may not be accurate, as we shall see later. The investigation of the Ibbankatuwa site was conducted by the Central Cultural Fund in 2015. This investigation entailed the excavation of an area of 10 by 10 square meters just west of a cluster of 21 burial chambers. The earth was removed from the site and revealed the existence of another 47 additional chambers, of which 26 had stone urns containing the ashes of the dead. The chambers themselves are generally rectangular and some circular, made of simple orthostats of granite slabs, and often contain capstones, but some don't. What's interesting is that of the 47 chambers discovered, only 21 contained urns with remains of the dead in them. Now this suggests that charcoal dated to the Iron Age culture was probably reusing existing megalithic chambers that they already knew about. It seems rather strange that they would go to the trouble of building them all, and less than half of them were actually used for burials. And this has been commonly found all over Europe, where megalithic chambers have been reused by later cultures. So there's every possibility that these may date back to the Neolithic. Here I am at Ibbankatuwa megalithic site in the middle of Sri Lanka. I stumbled upon this by accident. It's kind of hard to find. It's kind of buried off the main path, but it's definitely worth a visit as it's quite well laid out and maintained. As you can see behind me, you have the classic, it's almost like an Irish court cairn internal chamber. And again, we're seeing megalithic types that we see all over Europe, and here they are in Sri Lanka as well. See the various orthostats, capstones that we come to associate with Irish megalithic sites, British megalithic sites, and European megalithic sites. Again, more of the same. Now what I find particularly interesting about this site is it reminds me of, ironically, Carramore megalithic cemetery, as they call it in Sligo. You have the central area, the satellite mounds, spread over an area about the same size, with houses developed in between them, so there's probably a lot more still to be found. This is quite a surprise. I did not expect to find a European style megalithic infrastructure in the middle of Sri Lanka in South Asia, right in the heart of this beautiful and magical country. Check out this termite mound. The termites build the mound, the lizards dig the holes to get the termites, and then the cobras go into the holes to get the lizards. Now, if that isn't a metaphor, I don't know what is.